Greetings, my name is Andrew Alney. I'm a professor at the University of Memphis. The paper I'm presenting is titled Generating Response-Specific Elaborated Feedback Using Long-Form Neural Question Answering. The key problem this work addresses is how to help students when they make mistakes. This kind of help is commonly called feedback. It comes in many flavors like telling the student they are incorrect, telling them the answer, or explaining their mistake to them, which is called elaborated feedback. Unfortunately, while elaborated feedback is better, it is harder for e-learning to implement. Because there are many ways to be wrong, elaborated feedback must be dynamically generated. In this paper, we use a question answering approach where, given a test item like this, a closed item, and an incorrect student answer like this, we generate an elaborated feedback as shown in green using long-form neural question answering. To do this, we construct a synthetic question shown in yellow, representing what the student should have asked but didn't. The green portion is thus the system's answer to this synthetic question. The remainder of this talk will describe the approach in an ablation-style evaluation using expert human judges. Our jumping off point is the explain like I'm 5 task. This is modeled off a forum on Reddit where the rules specify that responses to questions are explanations, not answers, and accessible to lay people. The ELI 5 task is one type of long-form question answering. Because the task is open domain, meaning questions can be on any topic, long-form systems typically have two models: a retriever model that gets relevant documents, and a reader model that extracts information from them and creates an answer. Thus, the data set for the ELI 5 task consists of questions and answers scraped from the Reddit forum, along with supporting web documents extracted from Common Crawl. This is an example for how do jellyfish function without brains or nervous systems. As you can see, the answer actually refutes a presupposition of the question, that jellyfish actually do have nervous systems, but not brains. Here's a conceptual diagram of the retriever-reader described on the last slide. So how can we tune this for elaborated feedback? Our approach is to leave the models alone, because we don't have training data for feedback. Instead, we can intervene on model I/O, shown by the yellow arrows. For question, we used a fixed synthetic question on the relationship between the incorrect answer A and the correct answer B. For documents, we retrieve from a course textbook in the normal way, in this case using Elasticsearch, but inject documents we think will be useful, like definitions and the test item they missed. We also filter documents missing either A or B on the premise that they are not relevant to questions about the relationship between A and B. For answer, we filter out sentences that don't contain A or B on the premise they are not relevant to the answer. Because our approach was developed by exploring a small set of test cases, we conducted an ablation-style human evaluation study, focusing on the 4 interventions at the document and answer stages. We therefore had 16 conditions where each intervention was present or not. These were presented in a survey with 80 real items to rate, each item looking like this, so there were 5 items per condition per survey. These were counterbalanced in a Latin square. Additionally, there were 20 control items that were degraded versions of real items. Raters who did not score significantly lower on these items were deemed to have lower reliability and excluded. As shown in the example, there were 2 ratings per item, each measured on a 100-point slider. One was if the explanation was correct and informative, and the other was if the explanation was grammatical and fluent. The participants were 30 nurses or doctors. This was done to ensure they had high familiarity with a topic, which was college anatomy and physiology. Their inter-rater agreement was quite high, with Chromebox alpha greater than 0.83. We used mixed effects beta regression to evaluate the interventions. For correct and informative ratings, we found that definition only was the best condition. We also found that both definitions and test item or close item significantly improved ratings when they were included. But both filtering documents and answer sentences decreased ratings significantly. We saw a similar pattern for grammatical and fluent. Again, definition only was the best condition. We found that definition significantly improved ratings, but filtering documents significantly decreased ratings. In conclusion, we presented an approach to generating elaborated feedback using neural long-form question answering and a human evaluation ablation study. The feedback was generally rated highly. As you can see in this diagram, the medians were 0.75 or higher. And the approach is general and only requires indexing a textbook with an off-the-shelf system like Elasticsearch.